Round 8, Ian with the Arceus and Teleon. Whoa, is this Rayquaza? Both 5-1-1. Adrian with, it looks like Ray VMAX versus Ian with Arceus and Teleon Moltres. Okay, I'm interested to see some Ray action. Let's see how it goes. It definitely seems like it's probably a matchup that is favored for Ian because of the baby Moltres in the late game being able to like one-hit KO VMAX Pokemon, but we'll see. That is a Thunderous that I have no idea what it does. It looks like we got a Sobble plus Arceus attached from Ian, so setting up very well for that turn 2. There's a boss on a Sobble, but has a ton of other stuff to work with here, and I have no idea what that active Pokemon is. I have no idea what that active Pokemon is. Oh, it's Raichu. Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought it was Ray over. Well, it's not that bad to assume it was Ray over Raichu. I have no idea what that active Pokemon is. So it's Raichu, Arceus, Flaffy. All right. That looks like a Thunderous, but I actually can't tell what that active Pokemon is, to be honest. Choosing to not attach to the Arceus is very curious, but maybe they get this KO on this Sobble. We'll see. There's a Thunder Mountain. I'm sure going to grab another Flaffy or Raikou V. Okay, Raikou V. Searches out the Raikou. The Raikou is, I can't imagine, is great in this matchup. The Raichu seems great in this matchup, though. I don't know why the Raichu's in the discard pile and the Raikou's on the bench. Because Raikou gets one-hit KO'd by Arceus pretty easily. And then also can't one-hit KO Arceus. Raichu can also get one-hit KO'd by Arceus pretty easily, but can also one-hit KO Arceus. So I have no idea why this Raikou is on the bench. Like, this doesn't make any sense to me at all. This should always be a Raichu, not a Raikou. I just don't get why this Raikou's on the bench at all. You can always set it up in one turn out of nowhere if you really need it for whatever reason. So that's definitely a mistake there, I think, just to have the Raikou in play in this matchup. Like, up against Arceus in general, the Raikou kind of just doesn't do anything. There's a Crobat to draw 5. Not sure what they're looking for here off these 5, though, as well. This almost feels like a Crobat that just shouldn't happen, but maybe they're just playing around Paths of the Peak more so than anything, which is definitely understandable. And it looks like they'll get the KO on this active Pokemon, but they don't have an energy on the Arceus. They can get it in play next turn with the Flaffy, so they can actually like get the energy set up on an Arceus next turn. Energy search from Ian, and then we'll see if Ian can get off the attack with the Arceus this turn, and then what they choose to set up here is what I'm curious about as well. There's a research, gets a Dark Energy in the discard pile for later with the Viridian, or not the Viridian, the Trading Court, not Viridian Forest. There's the Arceus. Here comes the V-Star Power. DTE is on the way, and we'll see what else Ian grabs. Maybe a Sobble, maybe goes to set up the second Arceus. I could see the second Arceus being set up here, because it would be a pretty good response to the Raikou. Also, the Zapdos is probably pretty good as well. Looks like maybe just going to grab double Sobbles and then go with the attack, and I guess just not accelerate energy anywhere, which is also just fine. But Zapdos will definitely be pretty good in this matchup on Ian's side. There's a knockout, gets a prize card, and I'm pretty confident that Adrian will not be taking a knockout on this next turn. We'll see, but I would bet that Adrian is not taking a KO here. There's the Evolution Incense, so we got the Arceus, so we'll probably see an Arceus into an Arceus. I guess if Adrian can pull off a KO here, though, a KO on a Sobble would actually seems like it's probably pretty good, and then look to set up a Raichu from there. Bench is another Arceus. I don't like that. I think you want to get into these Raichus. You want to be able to get like a one-hit KO on their Arceus. So like a boss KO here, I feel like is very possible from Adrian. You just kind of have to do it. There's a Vikavolt. Okay, so this is literally like Arceus Lightning Box. There's literally everything in here. I did not expect the Vikavolt. Vikavolt not that great here because matching up into the Arceus is not going to go super well, but attaches the Speed Lightning to it, so it looks like Adrian is going to go with the attack with the Vikavolt here. I'm just interested to see what happens, to be honest. I have no idea what's going on right now. They could go boss KO Sobble, I think, probably off this Star Wish or the Starbirth, or maybe they're just going to item lock, hit the active. Yeah, maybe it's going to item lock, hit the active here. Gets 2 cards. I mean, they're definitely attacking with Vikavolt this turn, I think, for sure. I guess they could still attack. They could still get like a DTE. Well, no, they already attached for turn, so they can't do that. Let's see if they have the boss. They do have the boss disconnect on the Sobble. Okay, so this is good to see. But they don't have a follow-up here. And see, this is why you want... This is why you want the Raichu in play. They have no follow-up way to deal with this Arceus still. And this is why you want the Raichu in play. It makes no sense to have the Raichu in play or the second Arceus over the Raichu. The Raichu should be here somewhere with the so you have the potential to get like a big one-hit KO. I like this Vikavolt KO on the Sobble. I think that's pretty cute. I think it makes sense. If you're not one-hit KO the Arceus, you don't really want to be attacking into it. If you have the potential to one-hit KO Arceus, which Adrian's deck does, but they're not setting it up. Instead, they're benching a second Arceus V, and they're putting down the Raichu. I mean, the Raichu, if you put down the Raichu and put down the Raichu, that'd be fine as well. But I'm sure you want to set up another Flaffy at some point as well. But now you only have one Flaffy in play. But it doesn't seem like they play a super thick Flaffy line, maybe a 3-3, maybe a 2-2 even. But you should be setting up Raichu here. You just want to one-hit KO this Arceus. Like, you're ahead in the... This like puts you super far ahead in the prize trade, I feel like, and gives you such a big advantage with this KO here. But you can't take full advantage of your advantage when you're not going to be able to deal with their Arceus on like the following turn or anything. I don't know. I would definitely like to see them go to try and get more energy in play, and then also just have room for Raichu. There's just no Raichu in play here. Just does not feel very good. So there's the Zapdos from Ian and the Marnie. So the Zapdos can actually KO the Vikavolt here. I think the fighting energy is in the discard pile. Yeah, so it gets the fighting energy back, and there's a ton of V Pokemon in play on Adrian's side. So the Zapdos is attacking for free here. Hard to treat the Arceus, and then Zapdos just gets the KO on the Vikavolt. This is a play that Ian is pretty fortunate to be able to pull off, to be honest, because they are item locked. Ian's item locked here, but was still able to find the Zapdos and a training court. So pretty fortunate, pretty fortunate from Ian there, to be honest, to be able to pull that off for sure. The training court not super hard to find if you can find a Drizzile, but the Zapdos is pretty hard to find. Pretty hard to find the Zapdos, to be honest, while you're item locked. All right, and now on Adrian's side, there's not a whole ton to do. I think you're probably just attacking with Arceus. You do have the choice belt on your Arceus, though. So getting a one-hit KO on the Zapdos here shouldn't be too difficult as long as you can find a DTE. That is kind of just what's missing here for Adrian, is just get a DTE out there. And then Flaffy accelerates the third energy, and then you can KO the Zapdos, set up 3 more energy in play. And then from there, I mean, you probably want to look for that Raichu, want to look for like setting up Raichu. And then now we're going to finally see the Raichu grab here, I think. Finally going to see the Raichu grab. There it is. Raichu is grabbed. It's in play. Ready to go. It just needs to get the energy on it. So DTE is the big hit here for Adrian. And there goes the research. I don't know how many DTE they play. It's probably 3 or 4. Let's see if they can find it. Could only be 2, though. I could definitely see it be like a 2 of in a deck like this. But if there's a whiff here, if this Zapdos survives a turn, I think this game is basically over. If the Zapdos lives, this game is... I can't see this game. Yeah, there's a switch to the Flaffy. But to be honest, knocking out Flaffy here isn't even that bad for Ian. Because if you knock out Flaffy, you go boss knock out a 2-prizer, and you still win next turn. So Ian just going knock out Flaffy with Zapdos into Arceus boss KO Crobat is going to be game pretty much no matter what. Like, there's probably no way that Ian loses from here on out. You could even try and save the Zapdos, switch back into the Arceus, attack with the DTE there. Like, Ian's got options here for sure, but it's definitely lined up to be able to win the game this turn. Actually retreats back to the Crobat from Adrian. I didn't notice the Flaffy had the air balloon there. So ends up with the Crobat in the active, but still just like kind of like a boss away from winning here from Ian. Just needs an attacker plus a boss, and that will be that'll be game. The 2 Drizziles get used here. Drizzile, net Drizzile. Searching the deck, could try and set up a Moltres, but you don't really need to do that. You have 2 attackers set up, so you just need to attack twice, and you just need to combo that with a boss at some point. It's an air balloon, so maybe just wants to save the Zapdos, because the Zapdos can kind of KO anything. So if you make your opponent have to boss Zapdos, then you kind of do just win the game. So on this turn, Ian could go like boss KO Flaffy into retreat the Zapdos and have an out for another boss on the next turn. It looks like that's maybe what Ian's going for here. Sobble, Training Court. Training Court's back a Water Energy, and then we could see the boss KO on... Because you can't KO the active here, so you'd have to go boss KO the Flaffy. Or no, just takes a knockout with the Zapdos on the active. That also works fine. And then you have the Moltres built up as an attacker on the bench. But you do need a boss here from Ian. So if Adrian has a Marnie, or Adrian basically needs Marnie. If there's no Marnie here, then the game is basically over. But if there is a Marnie here, there's a possibility that Ian whiffs boss, because the Zapdos can't KO. Zapdos or Moltres can't KO an Arceus, but that was a research from Adrian, and I'm pretty sure Ian got a boss off the prize card. So I think that's game here. In this first one, and we'll see Ian walking away with the dub over the lightning box. The lightning box is pretty cool. I think we should have seen Adrian prioritize the Raichu a little bit more aggressively. I think it's just like you just want to be able to one-hit KO through their Arceus. You don't want to be 2-hit KO on their Arceus. If you're 2-hit KO on your Arceus, you're going to be losing the prize trade overall, because the Moltres at the end of the game will just be doing so much damage. They're going to be getting one-hit KOs on basically whatever they want. So you need to find... You can't be 2-hit KO on the Arceus, basically. You just can't be 2-hit KO on the Arceus, because Ian will win the prize trade at the end of the game because of Moltres. Because of the baby Moltres, Ian will eventually win the prize trade. So that's a lot of lightning energy prize there. That is a lot of lightning energy prize there for Adrian. I think it was 4. 1 speed lightning and 3 basics. I don't know how many lightning they play. On Ian's side, the Moltres V is prized, which is only a 1 of in the list, but it's not super important in this matchup, I don't think, so that's not a big deal. One of the baby Moltres is prized, but it's in the last 4, so you could find it by the end of the game. One of the 2 bosses prized. That's maybe the most relevant thing that's prized here for where it is in the prize cards. It's not always about what's prized, but where it's prized. Actually, sometimes more so than anything. So if you look at the baby Moltres, it's in the first 4, so it's not that big of a deal that it is prized in the first 4. If it was in the last 2, it could be a big deal. The boss being in the last 2... is the most relevant card here, I think, out of everything. If there's only a 2-2 Flaffy in the list, then this Flaffy being in the last 2 could be relevant as well. Also, just the fact that there's 4 lightning energy prize could also be a big deal, and just finding lightning energy just to get them in play initially and then get them in the discard pile to actually be using your other Flaffy to even be getting cards in general, to be honest. So we'll see. So Adrian does get to go first. They open the Raichu, which is great to at least draw cards with it initially, but the Raichu being in play, I'm just not a huge fan of, to be honest. I feel like there's just so many better... The Vika Vault is really cool. I think trying to utilize that is really dope. And Ian opens the Zapdos V, which is like makes things already really awkward for Adrian. So like even going to a Zapdos play later on, is gonna be weird, I guess. Gets the Thundurus off the Stormy Mountain. I don't like grabbing Thundurus. I don't know what this Thundurus does, but I don't like grabbing it this early for sure. I'm gonna go ahead and look up the Thundurus right now. I don't know what set this Thundurus is from, but like putting it in play just immediately like this just feels weird. If you have a lineup for it to KO Sobble, that's one thing, but just putting it on your bench like this just feels... It feels like a waste of a bench space, kind of like the Raichu last game. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of just like grabbing it and throwing it on the bench. Hang on, I'm gonna look up this Thundurus real fast so I know what it does. What the heck, did I click on the wrong set? Thundurus. 30 damage, attach a lightning energy card from your hand to one of your benched Pokemon. Okay, so you can KO Sobble, accelerate lightning activity. So it's pretty good, but it's only pretty good when you're KOing Sobbles, I feel like. If you're not KOing Sobbles with it, it's not that good, and there's probably a better attack to use. So aggressively putting it on your bench like this, I'm not a huge fan of at all. Yeah, I don't like aggressively putting it on your bench like this, because it just means it's there, but like, what if you just never use it? Then you literally just lose a bench space for the rest of the game. So putting down something like, you know, the Vika Vault, or just not putting your stadium in play this turn is also fine. You just don't have to play your stadium. You could just hold it for a turn. Second Flaff or second Mareep could be cool, but if you know a Flaffy's prize, then you really don't want that in play. So yeah, definitely not a huge fan of just throwing the Thundurus on the bench there at all. Definitely don't like that at all. Ian going for the Arceus setup. Energy Search. Probably just going to grab another Dark Energy for the Arceus. Yeah, there it is. And then Evolution Incense for Arceus V-Star. You can't use it this turn. So is Ian going to discard it or hold the hand? So searched out the V-Star and passed with a 1-card hand, I think. That seems like interesting to even... I don't know why Ian played the Evolution Incense if they can't play the V-Star. That doesn't seem like it's worth it. But I don't know what Ian's thinking there is behind that. I think Ian just has a 1-card hand of a V-Star. And maybe Ian's like, okay, I want you to Marnie me because I want more cards than just my V-Star. But I think it's also possible that Adrian has boss KO. Oh, prevents Vika Vault. Okay, makes perfect sense then. Plays around Vika Vault. Plays around Vika Vault. All right. Perfect. Yeah. So now you can't get Vika Vaulted. Makes sense. So actually, Ian has a 2-card hand, though. There's 2 cards in that hand. I forgot about Vika Vault. Yeah, plays around Vika Vault. Now you just have the Starbuck to do anything you want with. Adrian goes for the speed lightning onto the Thunderous. So it looks like Adrian's probably not going to have that good of a turn, but no, has the boss KO on the Sobble. Okay, so has the boss KO on the Sobble. That's pretty big. And I think we'll definitely try and see Adrian play around. It actually goes with the Starbirth there as well. Wait, could Adrian have actually gotten the KO on... When did Adrian get that? Let me see this real fast, because Adrian should have tried to KO Ian's Arceus, I think, here for sure. If they could have. Was that the first thing they did was evolve to the Arceus here? Okay, so they have the Arceus. They might not have everything though. If they can't move the active boss choice belt, then they don't have everything. Oh, now they have the air balloon. So they have air balloon, so they can go choice belt DTE. But the boss they maybe got off the speed light. You know, choice belt DTE is not enough. They need the... Okay, so maybe they draw... No, they drew switch energy. That means they have boss in hand, so they actually could have KO'd... Yeah, the balloon was off the top deck, so they actually could have KO'd the... They actually could have KO'd the Arceus there. The only thing is then, are you afraid of... having your Arceus return KO'd is the only question. Which then we could see Ian go Raihan to the Zapdos, knock out your Arceus. Oh no, it is 10 short. You're right. It is 10 short. I did the math wrong in my head. I thought it was like knocking out, but it is 10 short damage. Yeah, never mind. You can't actually KO it. I did the math wrong in my head. All right, so speed lightning and then goes with the boss on the Sobble. Okay, so I like the boss KO on the Sobble then, I guess. Could have still maybe gone with like Vikavolt knockout on the Sobble through the what's it called ability, but that doesn't seem worth if you know they have the Arceus in hand. So I like this play, I guess, in overall. Just use the Thunderous. Accelerate another lightning energy into play. Goes with the Wish here, which I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of this one or not, because it just seems like unnecessary to do. I don't think I don't know what you're gaining by using your Starbirth here as Adrian. I don't think you gain anything by using this turn. Like what you've got the Thunder Step. The only thing you could get would be to get a Flaffy in play and then accelerate energy through Flaffy to kind of maximize the amount of energy you can have in play. It's like the only thing to do. But then you like, if Ian Marnies you next turn, then you lose what's it called? Yeah, then you lose what's it called? I guess it plays around Path potentially. It plays around Path to the peak just in case Ian has Path. You use your Starburst before you get Pathed. But it depends on what's it called here. Here comes the Starbirth from Ian. And I'm curious to see what actually Ian does. Could go with like a boss KO on a Raichu, but probably just KO the active is probably what we're gonna see from Ian, is just KO the active plus set up, and then look for a Zapdos play on a following turn. We'll see. Giant Cape knockout. Yeah, now has a Giant Cape on the Zapdos, so this Zapdos is a tank and will potentially survive multiple hits. And Ian accelerates a lot of energy into play, makes it so you can remove the Arceus, but still attack with it on a future turn, and then go from there. Just play too fast looking back, should have gone for the KO on the Zapdos. Yeah, KO on Zapdos probably makes the most sense now that you mention it. Yeah, KO on Zapdos probably makes the most sense. Then you don't have to deal with that thing anymore, unless they want to use Clara to recover it. Which I guess maybe is what Ian would have done, to be honest, through the Starbirth. Now on Adrian's side, it's really awkward. You can't KO either two prize Pokemon. You could maybe KO the active with... No, I don't even think you could KO the active with Raichu here. Yeah, I think overall, Adrian should have just tried to be more aggressive with Arceus to open up lines of play with... Adrian should have been more aggressive overall to open up lines of play with Raichu. Because right now we can't even use Raichu to get like a KO. So... I think should have seen Adrian go for the KO on the Zapdos last turn. And then from there, you just put a bunch of energy in play, and then you can go Raichu, knock out the Arceus, and then Ian would take their first prize card on the Raichu that turn, potentially, or no prize cards at all that turn. Or that would have been... Yeah, I think that would have set them up, Adrian up best. And then from there, you can go into like weird stuff where you go like... Boss KO Sobble with Vikavolt and make things weird by locking out item cards and just try and clean up the prize cards from there. So I think Adrian should have gone with the KO on the Zapdos on the previous turn. Just get energy in play so Raichu's an option, because that's what we saw in the first game as well. There was just never enough energy in play. There was just never a situation in play in the first game, and now this game where like Raichu has been an option early enough. Because the longer this game goes on, the better it gets for Ian, because Ian once again has the late game potential of the Moltres. So that's just like not it just gives Ian too much time, because Ian is just going to be at an advantage the longer the game goes, because Ian plays the baby Moltres, which just gets better and better and better, and the better board state Ian is able to build up through the games taking longer will just favor Ian towards the end of the game, because the 1 prize to 2 prize trade is just too tough for Adrian to overcome if they're kind of on even footing going into that late game of the situation. And now we're in this situation here where Adrian's in just a really good spot, because Adrian can kind of or Ian's in a really good spot because Adrian can't deal with the Zapdos right now. Adrian just can't deal with the Zapdos of Ian right now, which is going to make things super, super difficult. It's out one of the Flaffy. Comes another Ultra Ball. The other Flaffy is prized, so can't grab another Flaffy here. There's probably no reason to really grab anything. Goes with a Crobat, so he's going to be digging for more cards. I can't imagine what they're digging for. Maybe they can't actually attack yet. They might need to get another energy. Yeah, I don't think they can attack yet. 3. No energy yet in that hand. I don't think there's a basic energy in the discard pile. So it's retreat to Mareep and pass. Okay, so that is most unfortunate. I mean, I don't think an energy there was putting Adrian ahead in this matchup, but it would have been a pretty big deal to actually be able to attack this turn. I think the biggest thing is just to get energy in play. That way Raichu actually becomes a threat, because right now we saw in the first game and now in this game the Raichu has just not been a threat at all, which I think is like important to have the option of, because you want to be the aggressor in this matchup on Adrian's side. Like I said, the longer this game goes, the better it gets for Ian, because Ian always has the fallback of those baby Moltres to take like big one-hit KOs. For sure. Double Sobbles down from Ian, can get the KO on this Flaffy, and then just 4 prize cards left for Ian, so Ian can look for like a boss play here, or boss one-hit KO would also work as well. Because I think one of Ian's bosses is like Ian's last prize card, or in the last 2, so Ian might not actually get access to that last boss. I'm pretty sure Ian only plays 2 boss, so it's very possible Ian does not get the boss play here, but could go boss knockout into just 1-hit KO the active with a baby Moltres. There's a boss grab from Adrian, so Adrian I think going to be targeting down. Actually, I don't even know what Adrian is going to be targeting down here. Maybe the Moltres attaches to the Raikou actually. So Raiku's doing, actually I didn't even count Raiku's damage here. Raiku's doing, so Raikou can KO the Moltres here, but I think we should have seen the knockout happen with, I think it's a mistake here from, I guess Adrian's trying to play around the Zapdos KOing the so this is weird. I guess now this lets the Raikou KO the Moltres, so maybe Ian should have actually benched 1 less Sobble, to be honest, so that the Raikou couldn't get the 1-hit KO on the Moltres. But this means Adrian's choosing not to attack with the Arceus, which means they're putting a 2-prizer in their active, and Raichu's not an option. I mean, I guess this is just bad for Adrian no matter what. There's like kind of like not a good line of play here for Adrian, it almost feels like, because if you attack with Arceus, they go Zapdos, knock you out. If you attack with Raikou, you get knocked out with that. Yeah, there's just never a good line here. I think Adrian is too far behind at this one, because Adrian has to attack with a 2-prize Pokemon this turn. And then Ian doesn't even need that second boss, actually, to be honest. Like I was talking about Ian needing 2 bosses, but Adrian has to attack with a 2-prize Pokemon here, and it just doesn't matter. There goes the Moltres knockout, and yeah, then Ian can just go knockout into boss KO on the following turn, and then the game should just be over. It looks like Ian might be going for a Clara play here. Gets the Clara. Evolution Incense for the Quick Shooting Inteleon. It looks like you can start to build up quick shooting damage on the Arceus, just in case things get weird, trying to make it as easy as possible to want to KO as many Pokemon in play as possible. It feels like Ian maybe should have attacked with the it feels like Ian maybe should have attacked with the what's it called instead. It feels like Ian should maybe attack with the Arceus here instead of the Zapdos, because the Zapdos KOs anything, but Arceus, I think Zapdos KOs anything, but Arceus only KOs. Arceus can't KO Arceus. So if like Adrian has Marnie plus attack with Arceus next turn, then I guess you can't attack into the Zapdos with the Arceus. Yeah, there's no good route here actually at all. There's no good route at all. But I feel like Ian probably still should have attacked with Arceus themselves. I don't know why Ian attacked with Zapdos here. I feel like that doesn't make ever a ton of sense to attack with Zapdos here. Yeah, I don't think it ever makes a ton of sense for Ian to attack with Zapdos over Arceus. I'm trying to figure out a reason, but I can't really think of one. If you attack with Arceus, you just have Zapdos around. I guess nothing can KO the Zapdos here. I guess a Raichu maybe could, but then your Arceus does KO the Raichu, so maybe it just doesn't matter It's just in my head, it seems like it's better attack with Arceus, but it actually overall it just seems like it doesn't actually matter. Yeah, there's the Arceus send up, but the only way to get a knockout here, I think, is through the Raichu, and then even if you do that, then the Arceus return knocks out the Raichu. I actually don't know Raichu's HP, but I'm pretty sure it gets knocked out by an Arceus with a Choice Belt, so... and then has the Baby Moltres in play as well. So even if a 2-prize knockout is taken here from Adrian, then the Baby Moltres should just get the knockout. So yeah, no matter what here, this one's over, and Ian will win. Adrian just kind of playing through the final turn, because why not? And then, yeah, there's a hit, and then Ian does win. Yeah, I think there's some pretty big initial decision making from Adrian. The first one was like at the beginning of game 2 was just not knocking out the Zapdos. Could have definitely knocked out the Zapdos here, and then didn't. But had Adrian just knocked out the Zapdos, that removes so much threat from Ian's side of the board actually, and makes Ian's turns way more awkward. So if Adrian had just gone with Arceus V-Star knockout Zapdos, there's no immediate threat, but even if like you went like knockout, yeah, I mean you can't knock out the Arceus. You maybe could if like you get the Flaffy Energy plus attach, Air Balloon Retreat knockout, but you should just knock out the Zapdos here, put energy in play, and by putting energy in play, like I said, you just make Raichu a threat, which is huge to have Raichu be a threat, because the way the prize trade could go from here actually would be, and I think this once again, this Thunders are just grabbed way too aggressively. It's like you might use it, but you're not 100% sure yet. And there might be better lines of play like KO Zapdos. So if you go KO Zapdos here, and then on Ian's side, if Ian just like hits the Arceus V-Star for turn, let's just say, and then Adrian goes Raichu, knock out the Arceus V-Star, and then Ian goes, one-hit KO the Raichu with, let's just say, a Moltres. Moltres goes, boom, KO the Raichu. That's Ian's first 2 prize cards, and then Adrian has drawn 4 prize cards. And then Adrian can just go... I mean, you could KO that thing again with another Raichu if you have enough energy in play. You could go hit it and then boss KO 2-hit KO. You could boss KO 2 Sobbles. So you just have a lot of lines of play there from Adrian. Or you could KO the Moltres and then boss KO Sobbles. You just have so many. Yeah, you just kind of win as Adrian there. But yeah, you have to. It all starts with actually just KOing this Zapdos here. For a second, I thought they could KO Arceus, but Choice Belt plus DTE is 210.